Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. You know that moment when you're watching One Piece and suddenly there's this tension between two characters and you're like, whoa, is something gonna happen here? But then, Luffy makes that classic I don't get it face, and you remember, this kid is a complete mystery. Well, that's exactly what went down with Boa Hancock, the world's most powerful woman, captain of the Kuja Pirates, goddess of Amazon Lily, and completely head over heels for Luffy. And that's where things get funny, because honestly, when he basically rejects her, the fandom collectively went, "Excuse me, son?" But it's real. Luffy just moves on with his life, and I'm here to break down the epic reason behind this rejection. No drama, just good vibes and a few laughs. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Let's dive straight into episode 411 of the anime, which matches chapter 516 of the manga. That's when Luffy meets Hancock for the first time, and honestly, that scene already says a lot. This kid is different. The most beautiful woman in One Piece, who literally turns men to stone just by existing near them, shows up basically naked in front of him. And what does Luffy do? Nothing. He asks where he can find food. At this point, we can already start to see the picture. Romance has never been Luffy's focus. He's not ignoring Hancock out of cruelty or to play it cool. He's just got different priorities. Which brings us to point number one in our fun little theory. Luffy is someone who was never taught to see romantic love as a priority. Think back to his past with Ace and Sabo. Starting around chapter 585, Luffy had a super unconventional childhood. Raised in the wild, getting smacked around by Dadan, fighting wild animals. He didn't have that whole love letter at school, or getting nervous around your crush experience. The most relationship energy he saw was Garp yelling and Ace being, well, Ace. So when Hancock shows up, he just doesn't process it as anything important. But that's not all. In chapter 518, when Hancock starts making her feelings a little more obvious, Luffy's mind is racing. He's just been flung into the calm belt, trying to figure out where he is. And more importantly, he's desperate to save Ace. And honestly, who has the mental bandwidth for romance in that situation? His heart is heavy thinking about his brother in danger. And meanwhile, Hancock is trying to kiss him. Worst timing ever. So maybe, just maybe, in a different moment, less chaos, more time to breathe, Luffy might have stopped and thought, wait, does she like me? But right there, in the heat of it all he wants is to hit the sea and start fighting. Another major factor is Luffy's emotional innocence. Oda makes it super clear throughout the series that Luffy just doesn't get certain things, like that amazing scene in chapter 413 when Sanji's talking about Robin with all that ladies are ladies energy, and Luffy's just like, we're gonna save her, right? He doesn't romanticize stuff. And it shows up again in Dressrosa, chapter 734, where Luffy's dropped into a tournament full of flashy characters and powerful women, and he's just worried about lunch. So maybe he just doesn't know how to deal with romantic feelings. For him, love is sharing food, protecting people he cares about, punching anyone who hurts his friends. And Hancock, she's an emotional puzzle he doesn't have the tools to solve. And let's be real, Luffy is almost the anti-romantic protagonist in the shonen world. While other main characters get crushes, blush, and have whole episodes of relationship drama, Luffy just keeps sailing. And deep down, maybe that's what really shocks people, because he's not rejecting Hancock out of pride or attitude. He's rejecting her without even realizing it. It's a kind of no that doesn't sting, because he never says it. He just doesn't respond. And that unintentional not saying yes, but not saying no is what really catches people off guard. Like, how did she do all that? And he didn't melt. And maybe the answer is simple. Luffy is all about freedom. And maybe in his mind, a relationship, especially with someone who rules an entire island, feels like another kind of prison. And here's a cool detail. In chapter 522, when Hancock offers to help Luffy get to Impel Down, he accepts. But not because of romance, because it's a shot at saving Ace. Hancock becomes a powerful ally, but he never changes the way he acts around her. And she notices that. In fact, she starts loving him even more because of that honesty. He doesn't fake it, doesn't play games, doesn't make promises. And I actually think that's kind of beautiful. Hancock's love is so strong, it doesn't need anything in return, and Luffy just keeps being Luffy. No mixed signals, no false hopes. Now, let's pause and think. Luffy never actually says no to Hancock. He just lives his life. And that might be the biggest shocker of all. his raw honesty. In a world where everyone has an agenda, hidden motives, or emotional strategies, Luffy being so transparent that he doesn't even realize he's being loved is kind of a big deal. And that's the beauty of his rejection. It's not, I don't like you. It's, I haven't even thought about that. But hey, here's another angle we don't usually consider. What if Luffy does understand how Hancock feels, and he chooses not to get involved? Because deep down, he knows he can't return those feelings. And if that's true, then wow, that would be a seriously mature no. Even more than that, it would be a sign of deep respect. He respects her so much he'd rather not mess with her feelings at all. And suddenly, he doesn't seem like the kid who only cares about meat. He starts to look like someone a lot more emotionally aware. Maybe he does understand how deep her feelings are, and that's exactly why he stays as he is. So yeah, Luffy doesn't return Hancock's feelings. We all know that. The fandom's reaction was basically that surprised Pikachu meme. Because seriously, who turns down the most powerful, respected, and feared woman on Amazon Lily? But the craziest part is that as the story goes on, this rejection starts to feel kind of okay. It's like Oda made us accept that Luffy's not going to have that kind of romantic storyline. And that's fine. But is it just that? Or is Luffy rejecting Hancock for something even deeper? Something truly Luffy-esque, if you will. Remember when Rayleigh says in chapter 507 that Luffy has this natural kind of charisma that draws people to him? That's real. People don't just follow Luffy, they believe in him. And that includes everyone who joins his crew, plus a bunch of random folks who cross his path and go, all right, I'm coming with you. And I think maybe, just maybe, Luffy knows that deep down. Not in a logical way, but he feels it. He feels that he's that kind of person. And you know what doesn't really fit with that kind of presence? A committed relationship. Hold on. I'm not saying he's above that or anything, but just imagine the chaos if Luffy suddenly turned around and said, okay, Hancock, let's go. We're dating now. What would happen? Half the pirate world would explode, and I'm not even exaggerating. Hancock has enemies, rivals, responsibilities. And Luffy? Luffy is the guy who's gonna go head-to-head with the world government. He's climbing to the top. He's the one person who doesn't back down, even against the biggest threats, like in the Marineford arc, chapters 550 to 580. So, think about it. Does he really want to drag someone into that path? Maybe, just maybe, he turns Hancock down, not just because he doesn't get it, but because he feels like he can't have that kind of bond right now. Because a romantic connection is different from friendship. It's more complicated, heavier, and I think Luffy avoids that, not out of fear, but because he wants to be free. And look, it's not an irresponsible freedom. It's more like he's saying, if I commit to someone like that, I can't keep running without looking back. And you know how Luffy runs. He runs forward, always. From East Blue to Fishman Island, chapter 600 and beyond, and now to Egghead. The guy doesn't stop. So when Hancock confesses her feelings, maybe he does feel a bit unsettled, like, I like her, but I can't stop here. And that, my friend, is the scariest part. Because most people reject someone because they don't have feelings for them. Luffy, he might actually care a lot about Hancock, but he just can't return those feelings. Not right now. And here's another interesting point. Luffy is super protective of the people he loves. We've seen it with Ace, with Sabo, with Robin, that I have to save you in chapter 398 still gives chills. Now, imagine how heavy it would be for him to know Hancock's in danger just because of him. If anyone found out she had a connection to him, it's over. She becomes a target, and that goes totally against how Luffy acts. He doesn't want to be the reason someone suffers. He wants people to fight for themselves, grow, live their adventures. And if he got into a relationship with Hancock, maybe he'd feel like he's taking that away from her. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.